Check that thing out.
Care Bear and Puppy Dog too. Oh, not on me. Care
Yeah, we don't even have to do this one, because we spotted this guy right away. What's your number?
Very
nicely played.
Include you on this tape. We'll narrow it down to 3, and then we'll let you guys decide from there. Now remember, this is just fun. I don't want my car banged up any worse than what it already is. Get those numbers out. The button numbers are about to be drawn for the butter churn and the... Congratulations. Okay, thanks everybody for having us. Thanks guys.
Yeah, we're all grades in school.
All grades.
Those beers. Okay, thanks
I
again.
never had kindergarten.
I'd like to take this opportunity.
Oh, jeez.
Thanks for being good sports. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
When I was about 5th grade, I used to always ride my pony to school, and I would put it in this garage, tie it up during the day, and at noon I'd have to come out and give it water and feed it a little hay. Well, another kid and I think it was Bobby Went, we came out here and had smoked cigarettes. And somebody went and tattled, and we got caught. We got summoned into the principal's office and really got the riot act read to us. And so I had to find Stan and Mildred because they were going to school too. And I promised them I'd give them any money I got for the rest of the year if they didn't tell the folks. And they didn't tell the folks. And I was always broke, and they were always threatening me every time we had a fight. And then came the end of the year, and my folks told me they had found out the same day that it happened. So I beat up on Mildred and Stan. I let them know that they were chipping me. Right now, always too much film because you got a lot more stuff to shoot.
Oh, I mean, this is, you can tell.
Yeah, Grandpa, that's the biggest house in town. One of the biggest. Right in here is where the horse deal.
Oh my gosh.
Boy, this end of town's good.
Where he was. You mean where you were plowing and it went down, or where you
No,
were
where I was
decapitated?
almost
Where the clothesline caught him around the neck.
What's the matter there, Missy?
She's had enough sightseeing.
She has, huh?
Yeah.
Now we'll take one more little slice here. Grandpa had to go up there with a team of horses to try to pull a guy out of the ditch. And one of the horses burst a blood vessel and died.
Yeah, can you imagine, poor thing, working so hard?
And that field up ahead, not these buildings or anything, but that field between this road and the railroad track is also part of it.
And the Radetzky farm is out there too. We gotta get it organized so we can come in and stop at your grandparents' farm, then at your farm, and then there's Grandpa's house right there again. There we are.
Shut.
Straight.
Boy, they sure fixed this farm up. This wasn't that fancy. All of those steel sheds. Uncle John lived here first. Virginia and Barney and Nick. And they went back to California, and then we farmed it, and we always had a hired man living there.
Jeez, it was all, this is nicer than yours.
Oh yeah, this is really well kept up. Beautiful.
Well, no, I mean, was it this nice then, the house and all? Because look at the barn is all kept up.
See, they've painted it. That, right, those
Look, the basketball hoop is there. Oh, really? But the barn looks like it.
Well, the barn is still.
That's why I said this place, because it looks, you know.
Probably I'll stop until this thing.
Oh, okay, well, do you want to? We'll stop. Should we let the kids out to stretch for a minute?
Well, you don't, does it?
I'm not for now. Some tea. Hi, I'm Darlene Keene. Oh,
They bought this farm in 1936 from the Slocum.
My dad did.
Your dad
Yeah,
did. Would have
Look at
to
here,
be. I
John.
was going to say because you're. Look at the
We
name
should take
on
a
the
picture of this and send it to Virginia and that's John Slocum,
It is.
Echo, Minnesota.
You're kidding!
It's still there.
Yeah. Oh, for heaven's sake.
Isn't that something?
That is up there too.
They had to have good pay.
Up look at there. Yeah, John's.
I think that was from shipping, maybe.
Probably. Yeah. I'm sure it was. You know, they probably bought it.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, here's another one. See? I imagine they'd mark these for shipping. I'm sure that's probably what happened.
Sure, almost every corner. It must have been one bundle.
Yeah. John and Virginia would die seeing this.
Oh, wouldn't they?
Yes.
That's really a find. Well, those buildings probably were here. This building, the barn was.
Barn was here, and that building was here. That's the house. But
Well, you remodeled the house.
Yeah,
substantially.
we added the house, the kitchen, and then the south end we added.
Does one of the wasn't it Andersons that bought our place?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't
Yeah.
the son now living there?
Yeah, Ole Anderson was the owner of that farm. And the son lived there, Arnold Anderson. He lived there until about a year ago. He moved into Echo.
Is he gone now? Who's running the farm? Or did they sell the farm?
They sold the farm to Ramley boys.
Is that right? I remember the Remleys.
Well, this would be, well, I don't know, did you know Eugene Ramley?
I don't remember the
See, this is Eugene's boys. And
Well, I saw you looking. Oh, I played Cowboys and Indians out there. Road.
Are you looking?
Real living. Then when we were up at the
Oh, leave the train.
And the hobos were on the other side of the train tracks.
Yes.
one year when we were up at the lake, our barn burned. And another time we were up at the lake, they burned the elevator.
What do you mean up at the lake?
Well, we went up the lake for a summer vacation for a week. We usually went with brokers.
To Spicer?
Yeah,
Green
usually
Lake
Green
and Spicer?
Lake or Alexandria.
There are 21 pieces to that.
I don't think there's a hobo jungle there anymore.
There were 21 pieces to that train. Jane counted them.
It's a trap for the man, my baby.
We used to have the animals. We used to have the buffalo and everything, starting about here all the way down to where we make the turn down below. But then they moved all that.
Buffalo?
Yeah. we got
They had buffalo here?
We got it here. We're going to show them to you.
Oh my god.
So,
But this used to be the dumpy part of town. This used to be the dumpy part of town, and now it's clearly the high class part of town.
where we came through there was up that corner there. There was just slums. And now it's pretty fancy. Let's go.
Good.
We gotta get cooking. Some water. This is 123 West Bridge Street in Redwood Falls. And this is where we moved in 1937. I only lived here 2 years, but my folks lived here until 1958. There used to be a chiropractor's office right next door on the left there. That's now been converted to a house. When we came here, every house in this block except this one and the chiropractor's office were owned by the Burmeister family. And now they're all gone. What?
I took it.
I hope you don't mind. He's just going to take a video cam here. Where my mother was raised, and they had, I think, 8 kids. 2 of them from my grandfather's first marriage, and all the rest of them from his marriage to Louise Radetzky. The only building remaining today is this garage, and that used to be a granary. All the rest of the buildings have changed, but I'm sure he planted most of these trees.
Yeah, there. That one right there is one of the original trees. That's why he's there. We just kind of respect him. We're trying to go and trim him once more and see if we can keep him going.
Keep it going, sure. Well, my grandfather and grandmother used to take the wagon or sled, depending on the weather, and go into the Methodist church in Echo to go to church. And then when we lived on the farm there just outside of town, they would come over and have dinner with us and then drive back. It was about, I suppose, 2-3 hour drive in.
You kidding? From here is a 2 or 3 hour drive to Echo?
Well, with a wagon.
Or with a wagon,
With a team.
you got a buggy or a good sled.
Buggy or sled was probably a couple hours.
Be about 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Yeah. We do a
2 or
good
3
stepping
hours.
team.
That's a while.
Wow.
Okay? Or, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and all my brothers and my sister were alive. He had 6. They're all living. He's still living. Oh, yeah. He's not going on 98. But he's in a nursing home. Been there, he'd probably be here.
He would have really appreciated it.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah.
He's always been nice.
Kid story there, Chuck. You were saying.
Well, when I was a kid, I remember on I think it was the Busak farm, somebody hung themselves. A long time ago.
Where was
That
the Busak?
was, no, that was,
And I remember, boy, that
Where
scared
was the
me.
Busak from?
Well, it was right around here. It probably was right over here somewhere.
Right off
no,
the
that
turnout?
was over. That was a different name.
It was.
Who's John? Bob?
It wasn't the same house, but their house was right in
Well, it
here.
stood right west of this one.
Yeah, and we used to sit on the front steps, and I remember sitting there with my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother. Okay.
Hey, Daddy, 2 miles west and half a mile south.
Well, it was bad enough that I read it in the paper.
Smile at Grandma, smile at your daddy. Do it both simultaneously. This is the big city of Echo. It was bigger when the Slocums lived here by at least 8. And I think we'll go to the farm right away. You want to climb that, James? Stand up on top? I don't think so. Well, Joe, this is the Slocum Homestead. This house was moved from Franklin, Minnesota, where it was a hotel, railroad hotel.
Whose house is this?
Slocum's hotel.
This was the Slocum Hotel?
Oh, sort of. Slocum's home. Now, it's been extensively remodeled, isn't it? It's still essentially the shape that it was when we were here, except we had a big front porch facing out that way, and that was our lawn.
This is where Grandpa lived.
The other buildings that are still here is the old granary down there. I've put a lot of grain and a lot of corn in there. And this is the old pig barn and kind of a machine shed. And then originally our first barn was right about in here. And that burned down one year and we were up at the lake on vacation. So we built the brand new barn.
Yes.
I don't know what year, probably about 1932 or 3. Now it's getting to be a pretty old barn. The silo is the one that Mary Olive and Billy Slocum walked around the rim. And they also climbed this windmill and stood up there with the fans going.
Who did that?
Mary Olive and Bill Slocum.
Oh, you're kidding.
We used to have an orchard here. This was all orchard. Now that's all gone and it's just lawn.
What kind of trees?
I don't know, apple trees, I think, primarily. And there used to be a machine shed in here where this garage is now, but that's gone. And we played Cowboys and Indians in that grove. And then our chick sale was out there in the grove.
What's chick sale?
We finally got
What's
an
that?
indoor toilet,
Chick sale.
which was in the basement.
They always used to call it the chick sale. I've
Never heard that term before. Never heard that.
Really?
When we first were here, when we were here for most of the years, on the corner right there by the railroad tracks was a great big grain elevator. And that blew up and burned some years after our barn burned. And then over there where that shed is, there was a long coal storage shed. And I was walking by there one night about 1 o'clock in the morning after a basketball game, and they blew the safe in the elevator, went off with a great big kaboom. And I got news for you: my feet never touched ground until I hit that screen door.
So what'd you do?
It scared the heck out of me. I got my dad up. He called the local constable. I think the constable went back to bed. They never caught any criminals. Farm, I'll drive you down there so you can see that place. And this little road along the railroad tracks there where that car's coming is where I used to practice my driving by standing on the running board and sitting there and going.
You couldn't have practiced enough, let me tell you.
Okay, you got enough? This used to be the old lumber yard years ago. And then on up the main street where the community center now is, it used to be Broker's store. And there used to be a creamery right across the street here too. It's all gone. And now it's a community center. There's one restaurant left. And the rest of the town is pretty much dried up. It's primarily just a retirement community now.
I talked to him once in a while. Pretty soon you get your car through.
one of the boy, yeah.
He's one of the boys. He's couple three.
One of Henry's grandsons.
Terrific.
Terrific.
Now, I was going to ask you, how about your dad? He must be pretty long years, huh?
Going on 98.
Just imagine. I said, I know he's over 90. I knew that. Oh, is that? Oh, is that?
Here, Helen.
Oh, you got all kinds of good excuses.
I tried to, but I want to make it.
Well, let's see the old one. You're still around, isn't it? How are you, Clyde? I won't tell you.
I know that's I guess that was really nice last night.
I just saw your wife. You remember me. Mark Slocum.
Oh, my God. You were the last one I think I've ever seen.
You're still looking pretty good.
You know, now I can see your smile that reminds me of your dad.
Pardon?
You don't know what I am, but
Well, I don't think so.
Rick Anderson.
You're Rick?
Yeah.
Rick Anderson.
He says, how are you? Good.
Hi, good to see you.
You know, like I know when I look at your face when you're smiling like that, you remember you remind me of your dad.
Well, he's going on 98.
Is that right? He's still living, you know?
Well, it used to be what?
Well, this used to be the pool hall right here. And where the post office down there, that used to be the telephone office. And next door to it was where the Citizen State Bank is now, used to be the Sunset Burial Association. Then across the street where the community center is now, used to be the Broker's Store, which was the biggest grocery store in any of these towns around here. This K-Bar Cafe used to be a cafe, but a different name. And the Red Horse Saloon wasn't even here in those days. That's all new. And where the Co-op Country Market is over here, that used to be a restaurant. That's where I used to get my malted milks. And where the Centennial Museum is, Louis Rudetsky, who is an uncle of ours, had his photography studio. This is where Peter and Louise Johansson used to live, and they were my grandparents. And I always stopped here on the way home from school because while grandfather was quite stern and scared most of his grandchildren, he didn't bother me at all. I thought he was great. And grandma always gave me a cookie. And this was where the Johanssons lived until they died. And we used to have family reunions of the Johanssons here, and all sit here on the front step and have our picture taken. Now you can see across the street that this has all changed. There used to be a state bank right there on the corner, which closed during the Depression years. Never opened again, and nobody ever got any money back. This used to be the hotel, and of course that's for sale, and I don't know what they're doing with it now. And there used to be a supermarket called Graham's Meat Market across the street, and as you can see, that isn't much now either. And the Methodist Church used to be up there on the far corner, and that's gone. And right next door here was the Echo Surprise. George Hughes was the oldest living editor in Minnesota until he died. He lived to be almost 100 years old. building's gone now, and this house has replaced it. Okay? You were a daughter of you live here? You live here?
Yeah.
So this was my
That's the way I
grandparents'
come.
house.
Yes.
Peter and Louise.
Yeah, but that way you can't call them.
So Finley was killed in the war. Oh, is that right? You all live here together?
No.
Yeah, that's about it. I think, yeah, I saw a picture of he's really long, isn't he? Yeah.
Danielle.
I want to go to big Are they giving me tickets so I can? I know. And then.
They could like remodel this thing because look, if they torn out this wall, it's just 2 classrooms and it's now one big here. Look at this. These gears. That is like. Here we go. Chemistry lab. Here is the chemistry lab. Not a whole lot of stuff in here, but it must be remodeled.
Jim, this is the Echo High School Gymnasium. I played a lot of basketball here, mostly as a scrub or a reserve. But right after the war, must have been about 1946, the 5 Slocum brothers came over and played what Gordon Johansson, Uncle Gordon, thought was the best team Echo had ever had. Just prior to their going to play in the in the sub-district tournament. We played here and they had a big crowd. And
Show where the big crowd is. We're talking
crowd
rafters.
around the edge,
Rafters.
plus along the edges here. Now they used to have it up to the red line, and they'd have chairs back. Lori was just about 9 years old or 10 years old, and he was our 5th man. Well, we played against him. We started out, I came up the court and threw him 2 from center court.
Well, let's look at where center court is. Center court is about
it's a long
15 feet from the basket.
Well, it's a long shot, James. That kind of upset their defense, and then Clyde and Oliver got loose in the middle and started scoring, and we beat them by about 10 points. And Laurie scored a couple. We told him, if you're open, you shoot. And he hit a couple baskets. And old Uncle Gordon, he was darn mad. He hardly talked to us for about a year.
Well, now what did they do when they hook up the baskets? Because there's like no room underneath this. There's no room. There's just the wall on the side.
So why do you suppose I have a false tooth in front?
Because you hit the wall.
I ran into that brick down there. You know, I was making a fast break and I didn't stop.
And that wall is like is what the baskets are.
Yeah.
If you go 1 foot beyond the basket underneath,
you have a slight problem.
You're in the wall.
You bet. It slows you up on the fast break. Well, when I was a student here, each room had 2 grades. 1 teacher and 2 grades. This was 1st and 2nd grade in those days. And then at the end of my 2nd grade, or in the middle of the year, I got whooping cough. In fact, our whole family had whooping cough for 6 weeks. So I don't think my dad or mother ever slept a bit at night, because we were all whooping and all sick. And I didn't go to school for 6 weeks. Then I came back to school, and the first day I came back, they promoted me to 4th grade.
From 2nd.
From 2nd. So I skipped 3rd grade.
Which is the next room.
Which was in the next room. So I went in there and was in 4th grade till the end of the year, and then I went to 5th grade. And
So
then
you went, so you
when I was
essentially went
when I was
2nd to 5th grade.
When I was in 5th grade, I got in lots of trouble. I had a teacher by the name of Edith Anderson. She was a great lady, one of my favorite teachers. But she'd always throw books at you if you misbehaved. And I got so I was pretty adept at dodging them.
Ducking books.
And then all the teachers had a habit of, if you misbehaved, you got sent out here to center court and you had to stand in the middle for an hour, 2 hours or something. And then as the high school kids changed rooms upstairs and stuff, they'd all see you standing out there and they knew you were misbehaving.
Now the high school kids were upstairs. Those, and the grade school and junior high school kids were all downstairs.
Right. And I can't remember how many were in my 1939 class, but I'm sure there couldn't have been over 20. Sister, but name was Nancy. Her sister here somewhere, because I saw her brother. It's sunny here. This year we did not have the indoor toilets, and we did not have the sink. All we had were the showers. And once I found out we had showers here, I never took a bath at home for the rest of the time at Echo, because we bathed out of a big tub. You had to heat up the water and get in it, and usually I was the last one in. When you got 6 kids in the family, that's not exactly a happy day.
You gotta check out this schwangle shower.
Oh, this is class.
This is
I
really
mean, this
something.
is class.
This is really something.
And look at these lockers. I mean, this is good.
Class.
These are lockers?
I don't think we had these when I was here. I think we just had hooks on the wall.
These were the showers? Same
Yeah.
showers?
You don't think they're going to change them when they're at lockers, do you? Oh, yeah, we used to come down here and sit on the bench, coach would give us our plays.
Looks like Chuck has been in here already. It sucks. Yeah. Chuck was just in here recently.
Sure it smells too. Well, these were more shaped, a little bigger shower. Listen, when they put these showers in, that was hot stuff. And I don't think any of the boys ever went home and took a bath again. Hardly anybody had to go to bath.
Floors look really good.
Joe, you see that low little barn way over there? There was an old Dutchman lived there, and he had watermelons planted in this land area here. It probably wasn't quite this big, but it was good size. And 3-4 of us were up here one night stealing watermelons. And all of a sudden we looked up, and that old man, I swear he was 90 years old, was coming after us with a pitchfork. And we ran across this thing, and I don't think my feet touched ground more than about 4 times, because he was intent on spiking us, and we escaped. But I never went back there to steal watermelons again. He made us understand the message. Great.
Ready? Ready? Ready.
Whoa!
If you were in a real battle situation here, you would take advantage of any cover that you can find. We try and maintain our alignment as closely as possible. We always take advantage of available cover.
This was the residence of the Evanson family, and Jerome Evanson was probably my closest friend from Echo, and they lived here. And then after we moved away, they eventually moved on the up towards the school area and had a home up there. He married Elaine Johnson, who was a friend of ours, and then he was in service. When he came back from service, he died at about age 27. He's been long dead. This is where they live. Okay, Joe, there used to be a long clothesline here, and the Peterines lived here. And Mrs. Peterine was rather on the portly side. Well, a couple of my friends and I were driving around one noon when we were out of school, and we came by here, and she had her pantaloons hanging on the line, and they were enormous. So we stopped the car and got out, and were making smart remarks and laughing and giggling. And Mrs. Peterine spotted us, and the only one she recognized, unfortunately, was me. So she called my mother and dad, and I got whipped that night with a birch switch, and it hurt. This is where my Aunt Emma Radetzky lived for many, many years. She initially took care of her mother, and then after her mother passed away, she stayed here through many, many years. I remember as a youngster sitting on these steps with my great-grandmother Radetzky, my grandmother Johansson, and my mother, 4 generations. And Aunt Emma was a very fastidious housekeeper. I remember bringing our family out here one time for lunch, and we just had a great time. She was really quite a gal. She used to have an enormous garden, and she used to have a well in here someplace, but that's gone now. Somebody else lives here.
You can see where the garden was. We used to have corn. I remember she used to have tons of corn, maybe about 6 feet high, and we'd have fresh corn and stuff.
She always kept it so nice. And Agnes, Gordon's wife. And your sister's here. Who else? Your sister. Oh, they are. Well, great. I saw Sonny. How you doing? I've seen you for a long while. Oh, it's been a while. You're Charlie? I've always said. Your name? My kids bought your farm out here. Know that? Well, you bought the Anderson farm recently? 2 years ago? Yeah. I even know it's a good. Oh, come on. Charles Which land were you in? Artist. Yeah. You did what? I was lying. I had a nasty tongue. Well, the only fun we ever had when we were big city livers was we'd have the German kids on the south side getting a fight with the Norwegians on the north side, and we would stir them up.
Yeah, but don't forget the country kids and the town kids. Yeah, but you didn't finish school, right?
No, we moved to Redwood in 1937, so I didn't graduate. I went 2 years to Redwood, and then they decided to kick me out. So I left.
I think I saw your dad 25 years ago.
Well, he's still living. He's going on 98. He's been in a nursing home now. This is his 4th year.
You're quiet. Oh, no, I don't believe it.
How are you? Good to see you. God, I'm glad we're both alive.
You got it.
I'm Merton
That's the main
Slocum.
thing. Oh, I know your name.
I guess I tried to know
Eileen Ramley. Bowers. Hi, Mark. How are you? Remember the
Somebody's right or somebody's wrong.
See, what happened to sexual equality?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Now when I went to shoulders, move down here.
Had 8 in our class. We're all here.
And you can find it. You gotta put your hands down. You're not mad at
Yeah.
How are you?
I know Mark. We got one here.
Okay,
I do. Now that you graduated.
How are you?
Good.
You slide that way.
Well, Chuck over your
You
name.
slide that way.
Well, it's Charles.
Got it.
Charles.
I started to use that in service.
Does that look?
Oh.
It's stuck.
I think you need to come forward.
Me?
Yeah, come here. Okay, now we'll pick that home.
Looks good here. Must be something. Oh wow, look at that. Now the only thing we have to have everyone smile. On the count of 3.
Who's the one that picked on
1,
everybody?
2. Look here.
Nobody's gonna admit it.
Come on, speak up. Well, I was just told that when I was here I was naughty, and I don't remember that.
Oh, well, there we go. The truth comes out.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Looking good. Okay, one more. And this one, everybody's got to give me bug eyes because I want to make sure everybody's got their eyes open, at least on one picture. Okay, 1, 2,
Smile.
3. Beautiful. Okay, thank you much. And you can order your pictures on the wall, and we have.
Well, this is the Johansson plot. Only 3 members of the family are buried here. Grandfather died and was born in 1866 and died in 1943 of cancer. Louise, grandmother, she was born in 1872 and died in 1956. And Mildred was their baby daughter that died. She was only 6 years old, just like little Janie. You can look around here and I know every name. The Shreens were neighbors of ours right here, just north of us. Melcher, Von DeLinde, Chapman, Houston, Broker, Emil Broker was a real good friend of ours. Kopasik went to school with them. Hudek was mayor and doctor here. The Engel family lived on the east side of town, friends of ours. Hey, it tells you something when you look around the cemetery and you know everybody that's laying here. That's it.
But you should say Grandma came here and said, see, because Grandma said that Charlie proposed to her in the cemetery.
One of the things about the cemetery, and I think you can feel it yourself, is it's very peaceful and quiet. And Grandma, when she had 6 kids, would come here for a moment of respite from those wild Indians. She also claims that Grandpa proposed to her in this cemetery. That's all I know. Well, they met originally, I think, in Sleepy Eye. See, Peter was married and had Walter and Sophie. And then his wife died. I don't remember what she died of. Probably childbirth or something. And then he and Louisa Radetzky got together. What year, I'd have to look up on their genealogy chart. But she was a Radetzky, and they got married, and she came here and took care of Walter and Sophie. And then she had, I think, 6 more children. 7, probably, counting Mildred. Met in the craft shop today. That's the daughter-in-law of Henry and Lena. Henry and Lena lived a mile north of us on the farm, and Clyde Radetzky is their son. He's an adopted son. They never had any children. Kind of shakes you up to come out here.